glue. All right, can we stop? I also don't like I'm uncaffeinated. Like all my caffeine has just gone down as 1 p.m. and I'm like,
I feel like there's 3 levels of caffeine. There's caffeinated, decaffeinated, and then non-caff.
That's the same as decaf.
No. I'm coming from a different perspective.
All right, let's hear it.
I don't know. So there's caffeinated, uncaffeinated, and decaf, right? Like caffeinated is this right here.
So what is decaf versus
less caff? There is caffeine in decaf coffee.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
By the way, for those that
I've
just
never heard
us,
of that.
Welcome. Mike Frank and Christian Olson.
Hello.
Back. Hello.
I'm shook by there's caffeine in decaffeinated coffee.
Yeah,
I don't think that
it's like not very much. It might be like 10 milligrams or something.
Caffeine in decaf coffee. Okay, let's see. It actually contains varying amounts of caffeine, usually about 3 milligrams per cup. One study found that 6 ounces cup of decaf contained 0 to 7 milligrams. So
accurate. Meanwhile, a standard cup of coffee, regular calf, would be like 80 milligrams.
I think it'd be about 60.
And then there's like
80.
non-calf, which would be your water. Non-calf, no calf.
Yeah, but at the levels that we consume it, decaffeinated isn't. It might as well be water. It's not the same.
I don't disagree. I also learned the other day the scientific methodology of what caffeine does to the body, and it was fascinating.
Okay, explain.
Basically, you take a pineapple, and the pineapple is a cellular structure inside of your brain, and you take toothpicks, and the toothpicks are like the nerve receptors,
and it just blocks
they attach. They attach to these like nerve receptors that say you're tired or you're like ready for bed or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you put caffeine in your body, the drug attaches to those nerve receptors, blocking the tired receptor.
I can't believe you just learned this.
Bro, I don't know. You know where I learned
I feel like that's worse than me just learning that decaf coffee actually has caffeine in it.
It probably is, to be honest with you.
You know?
But I learned it watching TV in the shower.
Which is also very interesting.
It's just like my favorite place to be. Favorite room in the house. It's true. Some people are like, the kitchen, the man cave. No.
I don't think I have a favorite room.
Give me
in
like
the house.
a waterproof bed in the shower. I'd be good.
I think I probably have like favorite scenarios in the house, but favorite room.
Can you give me an example of a favorite scenario?
Just sitting down at the table
scenario.
eating like a nice meal. No. I just don't eat. I don't eat tomatoes plain like some people do. It's very interesting how people just take like a whole tomato or like even that and just snack on them.
Well,
you do that?
Of all,
really?
First of all, you're putting me in good company. But second of all, there's a big difference between this, which I think is a bullshit tomato. Cherry tomatoes are bullshit. So sorry to everybody.
It's just an
they're just weird. They're like, I literally have a bowl full of grapes and cherry tomatoes. It might as well be a Christmas carol. They're green grapes, in case anybody didn't know. Anyway, but a beefsteak tomato, ooh, I had one last week. They're fucking fire.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Beefsteak tomato is like the best type of tomato to put on a sandwich. They crunch. Oh, God, I'm dead. Anyway, that's not why we're here. I mean, you also think. Go ahead, continue your thought process.
There's also like great tomatoes, and there's some that you bite into, you're like, oh, that never want to taste that again.
Agreed. The more ripe the tomato, the less I want it, to be honest. Anyway, all right, so back to real estate. We were talking this morning, and
wasn't it this afternoon?
It was this morning. This is when this gets written. It doesn't get written in the afternoon.
We weren't
it's the
talking
afternoon
when it's
now.
writing. You just did your thing.
Liv did it.
Okay, so we were writing.
And then
we're now talking. Mike texted me a couple times, like, "Hey, make sure you read the blog for today."
Right? Make sure you read the blog at frankoliverco.com under additional resources. Go to the blog. You can read the blog. It talks a little bit about 6 things buyers should know in this market.
If there was one thing you had to pick from this list, what would it be?
Well,
let's present the list to people.
All right.
Mortgage rates matter more than ever. Flexibility is key. be prepared for a competitive environment, understand the local market dynamics, patience is a virtue, and work with the right realtor and lender. What is number one?
I'm withholding my comment, but well, my comment was not PG, so I'm just gonna withhold it. Anyway,
is this a PG podcast?
My least favorite piece of this puzzle is work with the right realtor and lender. To be honest with you, if you don't already know, if you don't already know that you should be working with the right realtor and lender, sorry, I'm throwing lock boxes. Yeah, what are you doing here, right? I think that there's a couple really good ones, right? You skipped over being prepared for a competitive environment, which I think is very, very valuable.
I didn't skip over.
Well, I mean,
I just blew through them.
Right?
Sorry.
But I think it's very, very valuable, but I also think that it's somewhat redundant. I think that buyers have been hearing that for 3 years.
Be prepared for a competitive environment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just the reality.
I agree. I mean, with competitive offers, with multiple offer situations, like buyers should be prepared.
I think, okay, no, I want you to keep going. I want to hear what your number one is, because now it's not the one that I originally thought it was.
Well, I'm working backwards, right? I think that people are already prepared. I think there's some that we have to educate.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think, man, it's a combination. All right, let's get the one out of the way that's the obvious one, right? Mortgage rates matter now more than ever. Because with such a volatile market that we have, and with the changing rates that we have going on, with the highs and the lows, you might be qualified today at 6.75, and you might be qualified tomorrow at 6.25 with 1.5% towards your down payment and closing costs. And that might be foreign to everyone else, but the difference in that 0.5% could be $60 a month.
Yeah.
It could be $12 a month, right?
Yeah.
It might not have that big of an impact, but for a lot of people that are money conscious and focused on getting the right monthly payment, that's such a big deal that we're not allowing months to go by while we're looking at property without reconsidering what we would qualify for.
Yeah, I mean, the really interesting fact, I don't know why my mic sounds louder now, but interesting fact was like, your mortgage rate isn't the only thing that goes into your payment and that affects your monthly payment. Like when we talked about buying in the city versus Baltimore County, like your taxes go into a huge part of that, right?
We're going to be talking about that too.
The $300,000 home that you afford in the city, you can now get a $350,000 house out in the county, right? And then if you apply that to all of Maryland, each property tax area is going to be different than, you know, Calvert County is going to be different than Anne Arundel, than Baltimore, than Howard, than Charles. Like all these places are different. So you really have to zone in on like exactly where you're looking. Mortgage rates come into play, but then how much are you putting down? And then also where are mortgage rates going? Because I think there's been a lot of volatility in the market and changing. So like where are things going to be at in a year? Should your lender charge you 3 points to get a 5.5% rate right now?
Or like
are they going to go down in a month or in a year?
Should you be the person that takes the really high interest rate today? Let's say you took 7%, right? Let's say you got a credit from the lender to take 7%. And you did that because you were a gambler and you were gambling on the idea that you were going to be able to refinance in 12 months for 6% or 5.75 with no fees or points. So yeah, you pay a year's worth of interest at a higher rate, but you're gambling that you're going to refinance at a lower rate in the long run. And this is where you should be talking with your mortgage lender and your realtor and blah, 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 blah. This is also why these aren't my most valuable points. So we talked a little bit about flexibility. Being flexible in what you're looking for can make the difference for you. So understanding.
Where's that at for you?
I think it's like not quite to the top, but it's up there.
I think it's up. Like it, in my opinion, it's either that one as number one for me, or I was gonna say 5. But I don't like patience is a virtue. I think flexibility and patience go hand in hand.
I agree. That's why I kind of like looked at it and it I don't know. They do go hand in hand. I think patience is so important in this market because it's understanding, like for the people that I don't want to buy, the interest rates are too high. It's like, all right, well, let's have patience and watch the interest rates and like, let's pay attention and create a compelling argument for when they recycle. Right? If you watch the market for 6 months and the interest rates haven't changed, maybe patience is your virtue because now you've understood that there's not going to be the major
But
change that you anticipate.
I think understanding that it's patience, not, I'm waiting for the market to crash.
Right, not like postponement.
Right.
What I'm
right.
doing is I'm using patience to garner information.
Yeah. Okay, great. I love that.
Like I'm using the patience piece of the puzzle to say, man, there's not a lot of houses in the market right now. Maybe we should just not buy. No, you should have patience and watch what happens in the spring market. We're anticipating more inventory year over year than we've had in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So patience is a virtue. Don't make a snapshot judgment, and be understanding that maybe by tying in the flexibility point, you have the opportunity to say, okay, it's a little bit farther than I want it to be, or a little bit bigger or smaller, a little bit more of a, like, what if it's not just such a starter home? What if you take the opportunity to move up a price bracket, or you take the opportunity to take a price bracket cut?
I think another thing that I'm thinking about is like, we say patience, right? You said postponement is like the opposite. I also think about like somewhat being realistic or understanding what the market is portraying, right? And I think that goes into like flexibility too. Like I had a client come to me, who's like, hey, I want to find a 2,500 square foot place with a 2-car garage, an acre of land in Calvert County under 350,000, and nothing has come to market. There's something that was like 2,200, like nope, 2,500, I need it.
Right.
And I get it. Like they might see it as patience, or let's wait to see what comes to the market. But at some point there is a reality of like what you can do, and then this patience that they think they're having is hurting them negatively in the long run, and they'll never end up. I don't want to say they'll never end up purchasing a home, but it's going to take a lot more of a realization for them to get to that next step.
I'm going to read an excerpt. While the market may be competitive, making a well-informed and measured choice will be more beneficial in the long run. Trust the process and stay patient, and seize the right opportunity when it presents itself. I feel like everything that you just described iconicizes that statement.
Yeah.
Understanding that the market is changing, have patience, but seize the opportunity. Like you need to be able to see it and recognize and jump on it. It's not wait forever, and it's not rush the process or make you feel like it's a good idea today, but patience being the virtue of education. And
I like what you said, garnering
and
the information.
Yeah. Like, I just don't want people to feel rushed as much as I don't want people to like put it off because it's not the right time for us. Like in the last 12 months, I've heard it's not the right time for me more than ever before. And yet it's the same people that I've been talking to for 12 months. And while we have other buyers that have bought homes and then moved out to move in with a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, we've had other buyers that have had the opportunity to take advantage of a marketplace where they bought for $375 and now somebody just went under contract for $440 for a similar property. It's like their value is increasing because you're sitting on the sideline waiting, right? Patience and waiting are two different things.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're prioritizing your time, garnering the information, learning more as you go through each step. Like I have a client that I've been working with for like the past 6 months, and he just wasn't simply ready. He's still not to this day, but he's planning to be ready March 14th.
Who is
That's
it?
Our date. His name is Tremaine.
Tremaine.
I've just been chatting with him. He's never been up in our meetings yet, but I've been chatting with him for like 6 months, and we're getting ready for this point, and he's like gathering as much information. And we spent the time on the phone today. I was like, hey man, the property that you sent me earlier today was a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom. Previously we spoke and you were wanting 2. And he's like, well, you know, I over the past couple of weeks and months, I've been looking at what the inventory is like, and maybe I'm going to have to entertain a 1.5 in my price range. And I'm like, dude, totally. Like, I think that's a very smart idea, because I would hate for the right property for you to slip between the cracks and you miss out on the opportunity. And meanwhile, he could find a possible 2 full bathroom. He's being flexible. He's learning the market. He's learning what's going on. So when March 14th hits, hit the ground running.
It lays into the webinar that we watched this morning. A great team leader broker, Darren Dowling from Sarasota, Florida, was given a webinar this morning talking about buyer's agency and why buyer's agency is important. And when you choose an agent, how to find the right person to represent you. And what you just said was so similar to something he said this morning. Sometimes we go weeks or months without talking to our client. And then we pick up the phone and we say, hey, how's it going? Have you seen anything that you really like? Which is a really nice statement. And if your agent's doing that, it feels super comfy. Yeah. But your response is going to be, no, thanks, I'm just browsing. Right? Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But what if you had an agent that brought you this thought? Hey, have you seen anything you really like? I've been seeing a lot more 1.5 bathrooms in your price range than I have 2 bathrooms. Have you considered that any further?
Yeah.
It's not that we're selling you on the idea of buying a 1.5 bathroom, but it's setting the right expectation. And where the agent prior made you feel good, the agent latter actually got you to accomplish the goal of making homeownership happen. It might be to wait for that 2-bedroom, but pay a little bit more money, or move to the neighborhood just adjacent. It might be to buy the 1.5 bathroom that you really want, but you wish that you had gotten a bigger bathroom set, but it's in the right community, or it falls within your budget, or maybe that grant program that you're trying to target created the opportunity. Even there's a property that I'm looking at right now with my wife, and it's just not quite perfect. It's not quite what I want, right? And I'm not in a rush to go buy it at this price range. I'm kind of like, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We've got a lot on our plate. We're not in a rush, but maybe some situations would be different. We would choose to buy that house. And maybe she tells me after this webinar that she's going to force me to buy the house, which is okay too. But I have to walk into it with the pragmatism that it might not be the 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house that I want. It might not be the 3-bedroom, 2 full bathrooms that I want, or it might not be in Canton. It might be in Highlandtown. It might be in, Parkton as compared to Cockeysville, or it might be just over the PA line as compared to being in Tawnytown, right?
Yeah.
There are so many different flexibility points that by using our market knowledge that we're garnering, we're able to have conversation with our clients. And I think that's the biggest key, is not rushing the process and being disgruntled with not having the right emotional feeling, but more being gruntled. Positive gruntled with having the support that you need to get you through to the end zone.
So, but see, that's exactly where I thought your mindset was going. Work with the right realtor and lender. We just circled back to that.
True.
But you were like, nah, that's not my number one.
It's not my number one, because ultimately, if you don't know that yet, shame on you. But as I said it, a lot of people don't like talking to our lender. That's nothing against our lender. Our lender's great. But when you talk to me, and maybe when you talk to Heather, and sometimes when you see a video, you're like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to run my credit today. This is going to be amazing. And then you talk to the lender, and the lender's like, okay, well, we're going to have to work on this. And right now your credit score doesn't qualify you because you have this on your credit and this delinquency and this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden you get like deflated, right? It's like a negative energy thing. Well, the reality is that the lender's telling you exactly what you need to hear to make this happen. Yeah. It's not as much fun, and I get that.
Yeah.
But like by having the right person, they're going to create the right outcome that's going to generate for you the patience that you need to drive the value, to find the opportunity, to build the flexibility and the understanding of the market, to be dynamic and competitive and change exactly what you're searching for so that you can ultimately, accomplish the goal in today's market.
Yeah.
I think that's how this market in 2023 differs from the market that we had in 2021. 2021 was all like the rat race of getting there. And
you still mean 2023? You mean 2024?
Yikes, bro. Whew, yeah.
My mic's not even, what is happening here?
I can hear you. I don't know what you're thinking.
I can't hear myself then. Can you hear me in my own mic?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
can
right.
everybody out there hear?
I can't hear it through my
I'm getting a
headphones.
big yes from the podcasters.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Anyway, your headphones are
Our
dead.
live crowd. We can hear them.
But at any rate, I think the difference between 2024 and 2021 is really the rat race that was COVID. Like, get me into a house, I'll buy whatever, I'll pay any price, I'll give my firstborn child, which, by the way, like, I don't know why people are so opposed to that. Like, I'd totally do that. Anyway, we'll give up so much opportunity just to buy the opportunity for your home. 2024 is more about being poised, being prepared, finding the right opportunity, putting in the right offer, being competitive, and yet feeling confident in your decision-making process.
Yeah, I don't know. I just had a thought, but whatever you just hit just worked. You did something.
I think I just heard Christian just blah, 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 blah. Yeah. There you go.
I think where the current market is starting to get people to realize that there are many benefits to owning. And like, if you're not taking them now and like not thinking about the next steps, when are you going to? Like, it's getting to the point, like, yeah, we had great interest rates, a one in a lifetime opportunity, but like, what's next? And people, I think, are starting to like really dive deeper into that and understand like, shit, like I might not have a 3% interest rate ever again.
I think the crazier thought, and this is something that I've been saying, so I'm going to continue to profess it to the world. I think that we're legitimately moving into a society
of renters
that's like
and owners.
Fucking medieval.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be people on the outside of the moat, and then there's going to be the landowners inside the castle, and then there's going to be the people that just rent. They just rent the land, they work the land, they get their money, and there's going to be, you know, the kings, queens,
big
and the
pharma's coming for you.
And then there's going to be just the people that don't.
Yeah.
And I think there's no avoiding it. There are generations of people to come, and yet real estate is more expensive today than ever before in history.
Yeah.
And people want to talk about, we're going to have a market crash. I'm like, well, supply versus demand works that if I have Doritos and two people want them, I trade my Doritos for 2 chocolate milks. I learned that when I was in middle school. Like, that's fucking obvious. And then I, you know, got my 2 chocolate milks and my Doritos. And what did I do the next day? I brought 2 bags of Doritos. Right? 4 chocolate and then milks. I got 2 chocolate milks from this guy, and I got 2 peanut butter and jelly Uncrustables from that guy. Like, when you have something that other people want, they pay through the nose for it, right?
Yeah.
So when we have a limited supply of land, it's like one of the only resources on the planet that we legitimately can't create more of. We have a limited supply of land. And if land is in demand, now I'm rhyming, right?
Hello,
this
rapper.
is a nursery rhyme. You didn't even know. You guys are going to go to bed at the end of this. If land is in demand and our buyer pool is, you know, driving the value with the money that they have in their pocket, if interest rates come down, that just means that they can afford more house. So prices are going to go up. So if interest rates in theory go up, prices might stay the same. Or if demand drops, then prices may fall. But there's more people exponentially than ever before.
Yeah.
So what is it? 2 generations from now? 7 generations from now? 10 generations from now? At what point will we no longer have like family farms in America, right? Because they'll all be swallowed up and turned into like developments.
It's going to be like Spy Kids where you hit a button on your microwave and then like a burger just appears.
I'm about it. McDonald's to the house.
A burger anytime you want.
It's like Uber Eats, but instantaneous. I think that the idea of vertical living sounds really great. And at the rate that we're developing inner cities and suburban areas and creating opportunity for those kind of, let's just say, multifamily households, however you want to define it, it's not following with the population that we're creating.
What do you mean by vertical living is great?
Like high-rise living, like mid-rise living.
Like apartments? Okay.
I mean, condos, apartments, high rises, multi-use buildings. I mean, there's so much going in. The city's developing thousands and thousands and thousands of properties every single year. Yeah. And yet we still have a challenge with the development of the land in between the downtown and the county. We still have challenges within the county, utilization of regional area or properties that are underserved or undervalued with mixed use development on it currently. I think there's so much opportunity to make more homes, but it'll never keep up with the demand of the population increase.
Yeah.
There's just too many people. And I think that in a couple of generations, there will be people that just legitimately landowners and land renters.
I would agree.
It's awful to say that, but
it's crazy to see the patterns kind of start to go that way. And whether people like it or not, like, it is what it is.
What's crazy is to think that my parents bought their property for like $187,000, right? And that was a lot of money in the 90s. My grandparents bought their property for like $43,000. And that was a lot of money in the 60s or 70s, whenever they bought. Right? To think about the fact that a penny used to be one of the largest, value commodities that we had in this country. And now we look at pennies and we're like,
but also if we're going in this direction of landowners, land renters, where do you think as a buyer in today's market, your home value, your value is going to go? Your net worth, where do you think that's going to go?
I mean, it only goes up.
In a year, in 20 years, in 30 years. Like,
it only goes up.
Especially,
I shouldn't say that. The opportunity for net worth goes up. I want to clarify. The homeowner that literally purchases a property, does nothing, lives there for 5 or 10 years, no improvements, no painting, no retiling, no new appliances, does nothing, has a good opportunity for a value increase, but not a great one.
Right.
The homeowner that neglects the property over the same 5 years and treats it poorly and leaves trash around and ends up with bugs and rodents and other problems, they're now potentially decreasing their property value. And then you have the people that are now improving the value of their home, whether it's landscaping, adding a parking pad, creating an outdoor space, patio, fire pit, pool, rooftop deck, whatever it might be. Let's have a rooftop deck and a pool and a fire pit at the same house. That'd be cool.
Can we jump off the rooftop deck?
No, you may not. This is my grown-up speaking. We don't do those shit anymore. But
I'll just go to John's house.
You have all these opportunities. And then people just don't take the minute to look at their opportunity and say, I can buy this property. I can pay it off aggressively. And 10, 15 years later, own it outright and invest in a second property or a third, versus I can buy this property today. I can refinance in 3 years. 5 years after that, I could take a cash out refinance.
Start breaking it down. Like look at it, the grand scheme of things, a 30-year period, right? Like, what is your timeline for each? How long do you think you'll have this rate versus when we refinance? How long do you think you'll be in this type of a position? How long do you think until you do this to the home, right? Like, break it down, and bring it, like, it kind of relates to the conversation I had with my orthopedic the other day about just kind of like timing for the treatment on my back, right? Like, hey, do you want to get like some injections, some steroid injections and continue your physical therapy? Do you want to jump into straight surgery? Like, let's start entertaining all of these things. And like, I'd started asking her, I was like, well, if I get the injections, would that affect surgery later on down the line? She's like, no, not at all. Your timeline will only be pushed back a little bit just to get everything, going, right? Like, you would start with the injections. If that didn't work in a couple week period, then yeah, book your surgery, right? If you went straight to surgery, yeah, you're full on into it. But like, it helped me put together what the next 3, 6, 12 months look like. But if you do the same thing for a home, you can understand where you'll be in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. Why don't people put together 3, 5, 10-year, 30-year plans for homes?
I think the bigger perspective is, why don't people think 3, 5, 10 years down the road? Yeah. Like, a cash out refinance sounds great. And we have clients that use us for property management on this premise. I'm going to sell my home today. I'm going to cash out with 80 grand. What are you going to do with that money? Where's it going to go? Oh, well, we want to buy an investment property. We want to do this. We want to do that. I go, where are you going to buy an investment property? We're not sure yet. We're thinking it might be 2 years before our daughter gets out of college or high school or whatever, before we make that decision. And I say, well, hey, have you ever sold a car or a liver or a kidney, right? Have you ever got a huge lump sum of money? Yes. Great. Awesome. Where did that money go? And they always say in the bank. Okay, cool. Where did it go? Do you have it today? right? Like, do you still sit on that asset? No. You spend $4,000 over here and $7,000 on a new vacation, and then you put a down payment on a car that you didn't need for 15, and all of a sudden, all of that money is gone. It just whittles itself away through normal day-to-day spending. So why not keep it, grow the asset, continue to invest for 2 or 3 more years while you rent this property and turn it into an investment opportunity where you can sell it and buy the other property with more profitability, with more direct asset access to that money, and protect yourself from taxable liability while we're at it. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea. It's like, why do people not think 10 years down the road? They don't want to have the conversation about where that money is going to go or what they're going to do with it or how they're going to invest it or protect it or save it or otherwise. They just want to make decisions. And I like this house. It's pretty. Move on.
It's that comfortability, baby.
I wish it were that simple. I do. What I think is ultimately everybody needs to have the right agent and team to represent them.
I knew that it was coming there.
But I mean, I do feel like it's so important to understand the value of today's market. You guys should go onto our website at Frank Oliver Co. under additional resources /blog, somewhere /blog or down there /blog, to get more information. If you ever need to reach me, you know to reach out at frankoliverco.com or on Instagram at michael.frank___. How can the people reach you, Christian?
You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead. You can shoot me a message. Let's schedule a one-on-one, and I will chat with you later.
Love it. Catch you guys soon.
Deuces.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.